Alpo once said Preacher never took a penny from him. He was right. Preacher didn't take it, he gave it up. Welcome to Members Only. Hit the like button through the door because I'm about to knock some heads off. Dealing with Preacher, you don't know that you're a victim to his extortion game until it's too late. They called him Preacher because he talked a good game and always had people donating to his collection plate. Everyone paid. You'll around and trip and somehow your money will land in his pockets. On the regular, he dressed in $1,000 suits, barely used profanity, just a gangster and leech hiding in plain sight. But the neighborhood loved him. Why? Well, he paid people's rent, took care of the less fortunate, anonymously paying for funerals, paying for kids' sneakers, putting food on tables. He was looking out for people in jail, sending money to over 30 dudes. So when they got out, they got down and was very loyal to him. A lot of cats respected him because he put dudes on their feet fast, but he could take you out the game just as fast. One guy had to learn the hard way, as Preacher would give him some work, knowing that he would fuck up. When it was time to pay, he tells Preacher he needs more time. Okay, that's fine. Do you need 2 more bricks? Preacher crew looked at Preacher crazy. Why would you give him more bricks if he's already in the hole? The guy would say yes, not seeing the trap. Next thing you know, he's in a hole for 4 things. Of course he can't pay, but there's other ways to pay. And pause, cause I know what y'all thinking. But no, it wasn't like that. He saw something that he liked, and that was the guy's wife. She paid off his debt with her body. Preacher treated her so good that she became his wife by choice. Now that's how the game go. She tried to save her husband by using the rent money, but that just wasn't enough. The Preacher crew put a beating to the man and put him in the hospital, and of course she was out with kids, just stuck. Now with her man in the hospital, and she's out with kids with mouths to feed, and then you have the bills overdue. You can only compromise, and that's when she started to see Preacher to pay off the debt. What was supposed to be a business move, it turned into pleasure because she started to fall in love with Preacher. You can't compete with a man that will put his tongue anywhere. It got to a point where she would start to dress up for him. He would wine and dine her. He would take her shopping. Now, she was already into street dudes, but street dudes with lots of money, she wasn't really experienced to that because her husband was on drugs. Preacher was a boss. He had things going on. He was calling the shots. It was an instant lifestyle change. And of course, the guy wasn't going to get his back. Now it's the mid-'80s. Alpo doing this thing showing off, running through dudes' chicks, smacking around dudes in bras like it's nothing. He walked in the room with his head high. He had his weight up. You couldn't tell him nothing. Alpo had a lot of problems involving females, but one day, a problem pulled up on him that he didn't want any part of. Well, it wasn't a problem. It was pretty much up to Alpo. Preacher pulls up in 3 cars deep from each corner, boxing Alpo in. Preacher demanded to speak to Alpo in private with a very calm and respectful demeanor. He called Alpo's son almost every sentence. Pulling Alpo away from his homies was to avoid Alpo with any embarrassment that would cause him to act tough. He let him know that the girl that Alpo slapped was his daughter. Now that leaves a question of if that was really true, or was it part of an extortion tactic? Preacher had 100 daughters and wives out in the streets, depending on the situation. There's a story where the notorious cop, John Cuff from Preacher crew, was hitting abroad and noticed she was on a block having a conversation with the brother of a well-known entertainer at the time. He approached them, searched them, and planted drugs on her, telling the guy that he's gone to jail and he was going to charge him for what he found on the female. The guy quickly denied it and said it was 100% hers, and he was willing to make a statement. So John let him go, and he kept the girl cuffed as they drove away. As he pretended to take her to the station, he looked back at the female. You saw how quickly your friend sold you out? That convinced her to get with the program. The next day, Cuff received a statement from the guy. Then the crew proceeded to wait for the entertainer to return back to town. When John spotted the entertainer, he pulls him over, telling him that he's in danger and needs to follow him to a private location. And the reason for the private location was for his protection. It was for his safety. So the entertainer proceeded to follow Officer Cuff to a private location. But little did he know, it was a building full of savages that would do anything to anyone that didn't care for the human body. And that's just how it went. When they arrived to the private location, on the other side of the door was Malik. That's one person he didn't want to see, but he didn't know. Malik waited for him, and he started to rough him up. Preacher walks in the room and tells Malik to slow down and chill out because everybody know Malik had a couple of screws missing. Preacher walks up slowly, showing the man a statement claiming that his brother is trying to put his daughter away and makes him cough up over $200,000. After Preacher declines his offer to provide a lawyer, he says, she has a lawyer. What more could you do for me? What are you gonna do to satisfy me? And the guy promised to cough up 200 grand. Now that puts a smile on Preacher's face, a nice $200,000 play like it was nothing. But behind the scenes, it took a lot of study and it took a lot of strategic ways to get the job done, as he had the lady hiding up in an apartment building until everything was finished. So now that y'all have an idea on how Preacher was rolling, as he would tell people random females was his wives and daughters just to get money from them, we could get back to the story. Now, Alpo tells Preacher he didn't know that was his daughter, and he had mad respect for him, and asked was there anything he could do to make it right. Preacher says, in fact, there is something you could do to make it right. You could pay me $50,000 for saving your life, and you could get my daughter one of those Benz 190. And then we could forget about the whole thing. Alpo agreed to it because he didn't want any problems, but he made Preacher promise him to keep it between them, because no one wants their reputation tarnished knowing that they had to pay someone. But little did he know everyone was paying, even Rich paid. It was just part of the game. Preacher put a big smile on his dark face, telling Alpo everything's gonna be okay. Just pay up by tomorrow, 6 p.m. I'll send someone to come get it. Now before Alpo could tell him where to find him, Preacher cuts him off. Son, I know where you're at. I even know where you live. Preacher tells Alpo his full address off the top, and then at that moment, Alpo was just stuck. He was shocked, and at that very moment, he noticed Preacher was nothing to play with. See, Preacher was like the feds. When he come knocking, he already got something on you, and that's just how he was. Him and the crew used to just do stakeouts, just like they was law enforcement. And a lot of people might ask me, how do you know this? Just like all those other videos when they ask. Well, I know all this information just like I know how Preacher is fighting cancer right now. And just like I know how he was vicious when it comes to those nines behind bars. And just like I know how he shook down Russell Simmons. Now that all up, right? I know. But anyway, we're gonna have more stories coming soon, straight facts. Now, don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and hit that notification bell so y'all don't miss out on this fire content. And don't forget to hit the like button, show love, it don't cost nothing. And of course, hit the comments up and let me know what y'all think. You already know, man, we had to go into the weekend with a bang. This is Members Only, coming to y'all every week. So don't forget, show love, don't be a stranger, get involved. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend. I'm out.